Din Djarin and Boba Fett walk into a bar, where outside is parked a Mandalorian gauntlet fighter. Once inside, they see Bo-Katan and her sidekick Casca Reeves sitting, enjoying a meal and a drink. Mando requests their help, and Bo-Katan's response was, "Not all Mandalorians are bounty hunters. Some of us have higher purpose." To which Din tells her that Moff Gideon took the child, Grogu. Bo-Katan reassures the duo that they will not find Gideon. Then, Boba Fett speaks. "We don't need these two. Let's get out of here." The expression on Bo-Katan's face says everything. She didn't even need to speak at this moment, but she does anyway. "You are not a Mandalorian." Then Boba responds, "Never said I was." We all know Boba Fett is a clone of Jango Fett, so why did Bo-Katan feel the need to remind us? Today, on Star Wars Fanatic. If you are new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and give the channel a like to show your appreciation for what I do. I know I've done a few videos as to why I believe Boba Fett is a Mandalorian in the past. However, I feel like I need to do one about every month. I get new subscribers or I see something online that gets me stirred up. Today it's for the latter reason. The exact scene I described above was a topic of conversation. I saw the comments and of course I had to dig in. The comments were brutal. I watched as people went as far as calling each other rude names and cussing, and that's when I began to comment. Not to call names, but rather to try to use logic and evidence to diffuse the situation. It didn't work too well, and I ended up getting out of the conversation and just read the rest of it out of frustration. So, before I go on with the scene analysis and other reasons I think Boba Fett is a Mandalorian, I have to tell you about one comment in particular that I saw online. So the person simply said, "Boba Fett is not a Mandalorian." Another person responded, "Yes, he is." Simple enough, and I found it kind of entertaining. Then the first person responded, "What reasons do you have to say this?" And who would I be if I didn't chime in and stir things up? So I chimed in, and I replied to that comment with a link to one of my videos as to why Boba Fett is probably a Mandalorian. His response was, "Oh yeah, let's believe everything we see on the internet, especially YouTube." Cute enough response. I took a little offense in it, but instead of personally attacking him and feeling personally attacked, this was my exact response. "I'm going to use your own logic. You don't believe anything you see on the internet. And that is while you're putting your own opinion on the internet, meaning you don't really expect us to believe your opinion because it's on the internet, and you don't even believe your own opinion because, once again, you posted it on the internet. The very thing you don't trust." So, there was no response to that. Anyway, I thought that was a nice way to call someone a dumbass without saying the actual words. Now, back to the scene. Bo-Katan dismisses Boba Fett as a clone, after he basically says she and her sidekick are useless. And he was right. He never said he was a Mandalorian. He also never said he wasn't a Mandalorian. In that interaction, he was telling her that he doesn't owe her anything. No kind of explanation, especially an explanation as to why he wears his father's armor. But before that, when he first speaks, her ears perk up and she slowly draws her attention to him. She hears a voice of a clone. Now, she may have heard of Boba Fett, the son of Jango Fett, but there is no evidence of that. We do have evidence that she knew clones. She fought with them to liberate her planet of Darth Maul, Prime Minister Almec, and Gar Saxon. Clones were crucial in that battle, and Bo-Katan Kryze worked closely with them. So when she told Boba Fett, "I have heard your voice 1,000 times," as she got in his face, she remembered the clones, and it took her back to her time fighting with them. Now, we know the clones had accelerated aging in their DNA, but is there any proof that Bo-Katan or any Mandalorian other than Boba Fett knew about that? Nope. You see, when I explain my position on this matter, I use only material that is stated somewhere in the Star Wars galaxy. So I can't say Bo-Katan would know the other clones had accelerated aging because it is never stated that she does. If you remember, Mandalore was an independent system before Bo-Katan asked for the help of Ahsoka Tano and the Republic, and they remained largely removed from Clone Wars and galactic politics as a whole. Now, someone will mention, she didn't think he was a random clone in Boba Fett's armor, she knew it was Boba Fett. How do we know that? Is there anything stating that they had ever met? I'll answer that for you. Nope. We cannot assume she knows who Boba Fett is, or even that she knows his armor. We can assume he knows who she is, though. It was in Boba Fett's interest to know who certain people in Death Watch were, as his father fought against them in the Mandalorian Civil War. Also, he calls her Princess in jest. She called him a clone, and he basically told her to get bent and that she deserved to be knocked from her status as a ranking member in Mandalorian hierarchy. But the summary of this scene is that he didn't owe them any explanation as to who he is, especially not a former member of Death Watch, who had aided in the death of his father's family, his father's mentor, Jaster Muriel, and the attempted murder of his own father, Jango Fett. He owed Bo-Katan nothing, and she was lucky he didn't kill her where she stood. And she got off lucky with just an insult. Princess. So, sticking with the conversation, I saw online another person invoke the power of the creator, or writer, Dave Filoni. Yes, we all know about the Dave Filoni interview that popped up around 2019. The interview everyone uses as their source to claim that Jango Fett and Boba Fett are not Mandalorians. Why? Because Dave Filoni said so. So let's talk about that video for just a second, and pay close attention what he actually says. Yes, he says Jango Fett is not a Mandalorian, if you cut the video off there. What he actually says is Jango Fett is not a Mandalorian, at least not to people like Prime Minister Almec, especially someone like Almec. Jango Fett wasn't born in the Mandalorian culture, but I refer back to, he is saying this from Almec's point of view, as in Almec is a Mandalorian purist. Almec was also a political opportunist and would keep his position no matter the cost. But what Dave Filoni is saying is not that Jango Fett was not a Mandalorian. He's saying that Almec didn't see him as a Mandalorian. The same people that say, see, Dave Filoni even said he isn't, are just being lazy and hearing what they want to hear. They skipped over the whole part that foundlings adopted into the culture are not Mandalorians in the eyes of Almec either. Do we know of a famous Mandalorian that was adopted into the Mandalorian culture? Well, let's think about it. Yes, Din Djarin is a foundling. He was adopted into the society when he was young, just as Jango Fett was. So if we're going to go off of one set of Filoni's words that Jango Fett isn't a Mandalorian, then why don't we go off the rest of it, that a foundling isn't a Mandalorian either? Because it fits the narrative of those who don't want the Fetts to be Mandalorian. What Filoni was explaining was that Almec didn't see Jango as a Mandalorian because he was a foundling. So if you're going to believe he isn't a Mandalorian because of Almec's beliefs, then you have to stop calling Din Djarin a Mandalorian and change the name of the show from The Mandalorian to The Non-Mandalorian, because Almec wouldn't see him as a Mandalorian. Okay, let's move on. The next point is Boba's new paint job. It's fresh, it's crisp, it's pretty awesome looking, but he repainted two symbols on it that his old paint scheme also had. The Mythosaur skull on his shoulder and the Journeyman Protector's badge on his chest. What do they mean, you ask? Well, the Journeyman Protector symbol on his chest is basically a police badge. We don't have any evidence that Boba Fett was a Journeyman Protector himself, and I would be contradicting what I said earlier about using only material that we see, but we do see him wearing it. There are a lot of missing years in Boba Fett's story, from the time he was a teen up until we see him in the new comics just after A New Hope. But I will not say those years were spent as a Mandalorian policeman, because they didn't show it. However, I will say that we know Jaster Muriel was a Journeyman Protector on Concord Dawn, a position that was then given to Jango Fett's biological father when Jaster Muriel was elevated to Mandalore, or leader of the Mandalorian people. Most likely, Boba Fett is wearing the badge to honor them and the stories his father told him about his father Fett and his father's adopted mentor, Jaster Muriel. Now the other is the Mythosaur skull. This one is curious. The Mythosaur skull is a symbol of Mandalorians. It is not a symbol of a position held in the Mandalorian society, but Mandalorians as a whole. Not just a Fett or a rank, but a Mandalorian symbol, like I said. Boba Fett wore it on his left shoulder when he was younger and has since refreshed it with his new armor update. It isn't to honor anyone from the past, because they didn't wear this symbol. Why would Boba Fett, if he is a non-Mandalorian, wear a Mandalorian symbol? Because he is a Mandalorian. He respects the culture and its codes. He is one of the true Mandalorian teachings. His clan died with his father, and he has been a clan of one ever since. So between his interaction with Bo-Katan Kryze, the symbols he has repainted on his armor, the Dave Filoni interview being taken out of context, way out of context, and I swear some people hear that interview like this: blah blah blah, not a Mandalorian, blah blah blah. Listen to the entire interview, please. Also, if you need more proof, it is the code of the Mandalorian to take Beskar from an imposter and return it to Mandalorians. Neither Din Djarin nor Bo-Katan Kryze nor Casca Reeves requested the armor from Boba Fett. In fact, I believe the scene where Din Djarin was going to kill Cobb Vanth for the armor was setting up this very thing, as a point to show that Boba Fett is a Mandalorian. With all this in mind, there are still those that want someone in show or movie to say, Boba Fett, you and your father are Mandalorians, before they will believe it. Even then, some will have an argument against it. The same ones that say Boba Fett isn't a Mandalorian are the same ones that said he died in the Sarlacc, and are the same ones that said it was one of 1,000 clones in The Mandalorian Chapter 9. And they are the same ones who say Bo-Katan couldn't have thought Boba Fett was another clone because of their aging process. Well, was it one of 1,000 clones in Chapter 9? Or are they too old for her to think it's another clone? They have been wrong at every turn, and I'm going to celebrate when Boba Fett is acknowledged as a Mandalorian with a drink in a live stream. So remember, don't call him Darmando. Don't call him Arueti. Only call him Mandoati. Soon, we will be able to call him Mandalore. So what do you think? I know I'll get the random comments, he is not a Mandalorian, but that's okay. Just be respectful and I'll entertain your opinions. I'd really like to hear from you and interact with as many of you as I can. So, go ahead and drop me a comment. And if you're new to the channel or just haven't done so yet, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications to stay up to date on my Mandalorian, Boba Fett, and general Star Wars content, theories, and discussions. Go on and hit the like button and share the video to show your love for what I do here and the hard work I put into each video. Let's see if we can blow this channel up. And also, let's follow DR Moran's lead and get Dave Filoni to watch some of my videos for ideas on stories to consider. Stories like, I don't know, the JodoCast fanfiction I've been working on. Comment the hashtag Dave Filoni Watch Star Wars Fanatic videos and let's see what happens. Maybe nothing, but it would be fun. Thank you for watching, and remember, this is the way, the only way.